What's up, traders? It's your boy Vincent, aka Vin Boss, and today we are going to deal with you with this weekly top Forex forecast. And with that being said, let's get into this. Usually, we know we already start with DXY, then Euro dollar, Pound dollar, US dollar, Japanese yen, and US dollar, Canadian dollar. So, with that being said, traders, we are going to dive deep, see what happened, how we got into this beautiful entry that is right before your screen, and continue further down with other currencies. So, with that being said, traders, let's get into this. Before anything else, before we even got to this entry, we had a signal like this one on DXY. The video was dropped on the deep dive video and it was uploaded right here on YouTube. Please take your time and go back to check what is happening on YouTube. So with that being said, beautiful traders, let's go back to the charts and see what happened. Now, if I could zoom in a little bit, you could see that this was a great place to look for buying opportunities from down here to the upside, and we are still in the upside level. And I did mention on the daily video that we might even bounce from here to continue to the upside. It looks like we are going to the upside. Now, what do I expect to see more from this? Personally if I personally don't see uh the dollar going to the upside yet, I would very much would like to see it come, retest again, and then a continuation to the upside. But what most probably might happen is continuation to the upside, a little bit of pullback, and then again a continuation to the upside. This continuation to the upside that I'm talking about might very as well come up and retest this. If it breaks above here, this would act as support, and then after the break of support of resistance to the upside, it will now act as support and continuation to the upside to take out our target right here to make that 1:20 risk to reward ratio. And the target right now is 101.01, so that is the target on this currency. So with that being said, I want to show you traders how, excuse me for this, I want to show you traders how we are doing or how we did it in the signal before we get into anything else. So this video right now symbolizes or signifies the importance of joining the real account traders community, in which where you join the real account traders community, all you have to do is register your trading account with the exclusive access link, verify your account details, fund the minimum of $100 or more, and then send proof of registration to me, admin at Telegram, with the link that will be left below the video description, or you can just Telegram search as Vinboss Signal Factory. That is it. So with that being said, beautiful traders, let's go back to the video and see how the signal was received. Start from the smaller time frames to the higher time frames, as it gives us momentum clearance. So let's get into this. Now, as you can see with this arrow, this blue arrow that we do have here, is that this wave liquidity and the 14-day liquidity are close to each other. With that being said, this means that the wave liquidity is 99.65 and the 14-day liquidity is 99.59. So they are very close to each other, making this a strong level to look for buying opportunities before we continue to the upside. I will not be looking for selling opportunities now. That is exactly what happened. As soon as we did go to the bottom of this, more liquidity was being grabbed and retesting deeper levels, and also our 100 or our 200 moving average. And with that being said, started making bullish patterns. Of course, this is where we got into this when we found these bullish patterns. Of course, here the morning star candlestick pattern, this is where we got confirmed, but it got confirmed earlier in the lower time frames, and this was still a fantastic move to the upside. So traders, with that being said, this is the DXY. So let's go straight over to the euro and the dollar and see what it has in store for us. Now, I did tell you exactly what, before we go to the euro dollar, I did tell you exactly what it cost for us to go to the upside. Any pullback to the downside is okay before we continue to the upside. If we go straight, we might pull back to retest this level right here, which will be proving that it is broken resistance now, turning support. But either way, the overall direction is to the upside. So let's go straight to the euro dollar. So beautiful traders, with the euro and the dollar, very simply put, what we do have was a beautiful pullback to this and reached our liquidities. And as soon as we reached our liquidities, price starts dropping. Now, what this was a beautiful setup also, but before anything else, let's go straight to see what the signal was or how the signal looked like, because it shows, it is important and it is significant that we show before the signal and the process during the signal and the completion of 1:20 risk to reward ratio. This is by far the best signal group that you can ever join, and the best part of it, it is free. All you have to do is register your account and have $100 to fund your own trading account. So with that being said, let's get into this. Now, this was the signal, clear as the day. It is beautiful. It is directed to the downside. This is what I was expecting. And before anything else, this is what I do want to see. Before I get to what I want to see, let's get to how the signal was received from the deep dive video that was uploaded here on YouTube. If you did miss the deep dive covers a lot of videos, a lot of signals, a lot of details, because it not only covers the 4-hour charts, it covers the 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly signal of the coming months, not only this month, but even May and June, possibly even May and June. So with that being said, traders, let's go straight to see what the signal of euro dollar was and how it was received before we even anticipated the entry. So traders, with the euro and the dollar, very simply put, what we do have here is a pullback within this range. And if we do pay close attention, I don't want us to pay only attention to what might happen next. I want us to pay close attention also to what and how it happens. Now, we would agree that this is a wave, pullback, another wave, which in turn might look like a 1, 2, 3 wave. And then inside this wave, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a change of structure. Particularly what we would like to see is the retest of these two liquidities, which is the wave liquidity, the green one, and the 14-day liquidity. Now, the wave liquidity is in here 1.1602, and then the 14-day liquidity is 1.1586. Close again, they are close to each other, so this makes this an intense level for us before we go to the downside, because either way, I am bearish on the euro and the dollar, and I am a strong buyer of the dollar during this process of the war until it is potentially over, and now we have to treat each individual currency based on its own merit. Now, beautiful traders, this is how the signal is given. If you meet a trader somewhere who doesn't give you this kind of signals, then I don't know, maybe some people just give you trading signals where they just show you screenshots, pictures, and then that's it. A picture of an arrow, and then that's it. It doesn't explain why the source of selling, or why it is bearish, or what the technical analysis is saying, but rather just pictures. And some people pay heavy for those pictures, but that's not how we work in the real account traders community. So with that being said, let's get into this deep dive. Let me zoom in and see what happened. This is exactly what happened. After this, we got a pullback, retested the 200 moving average, retested most importantly the 14-day and the 14-day end, the wave liquidity, and then start making bearish patterns from these levels here in the lower time frames, and we took advantage of that, and we are already on our setup to the downside. So with that being said, beautiful traders, this is what the power of the real account traders community analysis goes with. If you do pay close attention, you can see that my analysis always doesn't include a lot of particular sophisticated uh, analysis. It only entails the moving average and the liquidity levels, nothing more. The chart is always clean. The chart is always clean, which gives you, a clearer perspective of how to do this. I don't put a lot of trend lines. I don't put a lot of indicators. I don't put a lot of anything else. I just want to keep pure price action as clean as possible. So, with that being said, traders, this is what I call the power of the real account traders community. And what do I want to see next on the euro and the dollar? I would like to see this continue. Sorry for that. I would like to see this continue to the downside and then come back, retest this broken support, which will turn resistance, and then a continuation to the downside. Or rather, if we do get to levels higher like this one here, if we do get to these levels and we do find that we find great bearish patterns and formations to continue to the downside, this would still be a great opportunity to go to the downside. Either way, does it seem likely that we might go to here? It seems very unlikely, but in trading business, there's nothing that we cannot write out completely. So if it does, I will be there to update on a regular basis during the week, just like I did last week, which I uploaded about 3 or 4 videos on the YouTube channel, trying to make sure that traders see how to handle the dollar going into this week that we are now going into. So with that being said, we are already looking for selling opportunities to make that 1:20 risk to reward ratio. And if that goes through, this is how our signal will look like going to the downside to take out 1:20 right here at these levels. This shows and this makes us reach the target confidently. It is more important for you to have a mentor that motivates you, that shows you how things are done, that gives you, not only the signal and you wait in fear, because most of the new traders, they have emotional problems where they are just attached to the outcome, but rather in here we are going to deal with you trade by trade. Every stage of this trade we are going to deal with you, as already people are already in break even. Nobody is going to lose anything. Even if the market goes against us, we just take small profit. All right, so this is the euro and the dollar for us. Let's go straight to the pound and the dollar to see what it has in store for us. So traders, with the pound and the dollar, very simply put, we are going to have, before we get to what we are going to have, we did have this beautiful pullback retested, just like in any currency that we have discussed, which is the euro and the dollar plus the DXY. The pound similarly shows the same movement to the downside, and it has both tested the 14-day liquidity and the wave liquidity. So with that being said, and also the moving average, the 200 moving average, and I did mention that pound might be stronger to the downside on the video because of the way this monthly liquidity is stacked close to the wave liquidity and the 14-day liquidity, and that is exactly what has happened. This was the signal on pound before it even reached the liquidity. We were anticipating to find bearish patterns and formations from the current place. Now, just a quick reminder, register your exclusive account under the video, under the registration link will be left under this video description, and you have to verify your account details, fund the minimum of $100 or more. You already know the deal. Send proof of registration to me and be added to the real account traders community. Now, with that being said, let's go straight to see what we did have in store for the pound and the dollar as a signal. So traders, with the pound and the dollar, very simply put, we are having a different phenomena than we do have with the euro dollar and the DXY. We see that the liquidity of the 14-day liquidity, the wave liquidity, and the monthly liquidity, they are closely stacked against each other or close to each other. Now, what does this mean? This means that either this level is going to give us this wave to the downside, and if we do want to see this buying, we have to see this the dollar losing so much of its gains that it would definitely change structure in the pound. Particularly, let's just not mention the currencies, but in the DXY, we would like to see the fact that we would be changing structure to the downside, and then this when the pound will be buying to the upside. That means that's why I am not interested into selling into buying the pound against the dollar. Very simply put, I would like to see this play around here and then come, or even just a bounce and then come to the downside and give us what we initially want. Now, we did get exactly that bounce in here. As soon as the market came up, bounced from here, boom, to the downside, and it looks like we are already chasing that 1:20 down to take our profit. And with that being said, this is how it looks on with our 1:20 target. This is where our 1:20 target is. It is 1.3051. This is the target that we will take our profit from, and then relax. We will have made enough. 1:20. If you're risking 1% here, that's 20% of your account balance. So with the pound and the dollar, this ends here. We are bearish to the downside, and what I would like to confirm is if we do get another pullback, it will only be around these levels to retest here and a continuation to the downside. But if we do not get that, we might go below. Let me just zoom out so that it can make sense. So in the pound, if we do continue to the downside, we are particularly going to break this low here and then come back to retest it before we take profit down here. And I will be there every step of the way. What makes perfect sense for me to do is be there every step of the way. Why would I be there every step of the way? Because I would like to be there when this happens and you lose your mind and you're trying to close. I would like to be there to guide you until you reach take profit. So that is it with the pound and the dollar. We now go to the US dollar and the Japanese yen, which was a beautiful setup also to the upside. Let's go. So traders, with the US dollar and the Japanese yen, very simply put, I was expecting buying opportunities from this level here, and I did mention that we do have a different, we did have a different scenario here whereby the 14-day liquidity is on top, but that doesn't mean that we are bearish to the downside. That means that the Japanese yen has gained strength over the last 14 days. That means even over other currency pairs. As you can see, I did tell you about the beautiful setups we are having on the real account traders community on the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, and all those against the Japanese yen, that they are probably being beaten down by the Japanese yen. So with that being said, right now, what this meant was nothing against the powerful almighty dollar. Now, this is where I want to see the market going. And before everything else, this is where the signal, this is how the signal was to the upside. And since we were structured like this to the upside, this is exactly what we got to the upside. The retest of the wave liquidity down here, closer to what we call the monthly liquidity also, which symbolizes that we might have a strong push to the upside from these levels. And as intended, we did have a strong push to the upside that was intended from this market analysis. So without wasting much of our time, traders, let's go straight to the US dollar Japanese yen signal that was given on the deep dive video. Please make sure you watch the deep dive video. But before, let me remind you, like and subscribe, register your account, verify your account details, and fund your account, not anybody's account. You fund your own account with $100 or more. Then you send proof of registration back to me in Telegram, or you can just Telegram search as Vinboss Signal Factory. The link to Telegram and the registration will both be left under the video description. So with that being said, beautiful traders, let's go back to the charts and see what the video was saying. So traders, what we do have today in the US dollar and the Japanese yen is we do have the 14-day liquidity right above where the price usually is. And why is that? Because the previous 14-day liquidity, the previous 14 days opened higher than the close, so which technically just gives us more of a bearish momentum on this US dollar and the Japanese yen. So with that being said, beautiful traders, what we do have right now is I do expect to see this wave liquidity, I do expect to see this wave liquidity bounce, or this monthly liquidity bounce here. The monthly liquidity is 157.96 and the wave liquidity is 158.26. Both these levels are fantastic for buying setups to go into the upside. Now, I did explain to this, but I would like to go back again and explain this. This 14-day liquidity that we have about, this means that the bounce from here was expected. Let's go to the chart and explain it. The bounce from here was expected to the upside, not to the downside. And as soon as that happened, we did take the advantage of this. Now, what do I expect ever since this is the current state of the market in the US dollar and the Japanese yen? Let me zoom in. After zooming in, we get to this. Now, this US dollar Japanese yen, if it does not go straight above like this, and then it starts with a pullback, this much rather be a tested level before continuing to the upside. But if it does go to the upside, break this top here, it might come back to this top retest and then a continuation to the upside to take out structure right here, right where the take profit is. So with that being said, the take profit of this currency is 161.321. This is the target profit from our entry level. So with that being said, this is exactly where our target will be. This is exactly what I do expect to see before anything else. But if we do get, and also we might not even get to this because of this 14-day liquidity that has been broken to the upside or partially broken to the upside. It might just come down, retest this 14-day liquidity as support, and then continue to the upside. This is exactly what might happen. So this is the US dollar Japanese yen for us. Let's go straight to the last but not least, the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. And last but not least, just like last week, this US dollar and the Canadian dollar, we did not trade. Why? We didn't trade because it did not reach our 14-day liquidity, nor our wave liquidity, or our monthly liquidity. It just went up. It's still inside this, no break to the upside to make sure that we can have a retest of and then continuation to the upside. So for now, this is not the greatest pair to come and trade. We are not interested into this. We will never force trading if it doesn't meet the criteria of our liquidities. And I'm talking about the 14-day liquidity, the wave liquidity, and the monthly liquidity. So if it doesn't meet those requirements, it is just like this. This is not part of what I was doing, even though when the dollar started making noise to the upside, this was where it started. So some trader would have been like, since the dollar is making noise to the upside and I'm getting bearish bullish patterns in the dollar in lower time frames, then I should just enter here and make myself money. This is not me. This is not us. So I know I don't speak for everyone else in the real account traders community when I say this is not us, but I'm not talking about, you know, I, in the real account traders community. I want you to understand one thing. If you have to, we do not force trades. We do not chase trades. We look for clear setup and open. And one last thing, we are not emotionally controlled. So if you are moved by emotions, this would have been your buy setup. You would be in profit, but that is against the rules. Making it, making money, but not following the rules will ultimately in the end make you lose money because you're not following the rules, and there's nothing worse than losing money when you are not following the rules. So the US dollar and the Canadian dollar is a no for me until this week. I don't know, maybe it will be updated later on, but for now nothing here looks fine for me. Nothing here is interesting, and I'm not interested in buying this again. So with that being said, beautiful traders, this is it from me. This is the last time I'm going to talk about the US dollar and the Canadian dollar in this video. We might see it during the week, but I doubt it can change my mind. Not unless the only time, okay, let me just show you the only time that I will be trading the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. It is if we do break above this last month high and then come back to retest it to look for buying opportunities to the upside, then I would try, because this would be one opportunity again to the upside. But up until then, if it doesn't break this, it just comes down and keeps on doing this without reaching this level of the 14-day liquidity, or even the wave liquidity, or the monthly liquidity. I will not be interested in this one. I would let it play out, then I will catch it maybe in the next 14 days or next month. It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm not, choosing this, which is why it is important to join the real account traders community, because in the real account traders community you can trade US dollar, the NZD and the US dollar, which is a fantastic sell, also similar to the euro and the pound, the euro and the pound, the euro dollar, the pound and the dollar, the Aussie and the dollar. Those were fantastic trades that we took in the real account traders community. So with that being said, beautiful traders, that is it from me, Vin Boss. See you during the week. Bye bye for now.